change it.
I realize a lot of
All right, the time is 6:30. I'll call this work session of the mayor and council to order. We'll go over tonight's public hearing and regular business agenda first. We have Dr. Warren that should be here from Forest Hills Baptist Church at Mountain View. You received a copy of the announcements. We'll have the pledge of the flag under ceremonial matters. The Georgia Municipal Association has asked that we postpone the award to Senator Balfour. Is that going to be the next agenda, or doesn't?
I think so. Lamar Norton said he could not be here, and he has done a lot of work with Don in the legislature, and he wants to be here.
And I spoke to Senator Balfour this evening. He said that was okay with him. They did ask before they made that request. Minutes, you all received a copy of the minutes from the last meeting. Does anybody have any objections or changes or questions? Okay. We have no invited guests tonight under committee and department reports. We'll have an update on the Snellville Days Festival and the Snellville Days Parade. There's no consent agenda. We have several items on our public hearing. They're all first reading. So I'll ask for an appropriate motion to waive for first reading on each item. But we first have the fiscal year 2015 budget. We went over during the work session last week. Anybody have any questions for that tonight?
Mayor, I have some overhead, some slides to show. Is it appropriate to do it now, or should I wait to the second reading?
I'll wait till the second reading,
Okay. Good deal.
unless there's some type of public question.
Okay.
When we waive those first readings, what's our next meeting date?
June 12th?
No, June 9th? We don't have another thing.
I can tell you that from our discussion the other day, I'll have a couple of updates by next Wednesday in your hands as far as workers' comp, salary survey, and I'll have that information. So you'll have plenty of time to review that and ask questions.
We'll take public comment on the budget, then we have a first reading on the distance requirements from the house of worship. Anybody have any questions about that tonight? That's changing it to what, 130?
Yes.
Second, D, first reading on the amendment to relating to solid waste includes provisions for disposal of animal waste. I think we talked about this last time, Councilman.
Yeah, we're changing it. It's going to be an addition to the litter ordinance. It's already defined under litter. This will just expand the explanation and requirements. Tony can go into that. I know it's one of his favorite subjects.
Unless someone has a question. Then we have first reading on the continued use of the property there on Highway 78 by the old crematory. See if there's any questions about that. Jason, anything you want to tell us tonight? This is the lady that purchased it and has not developed it. And used it.
Wants a 6-year extension.
How many years?
6 years is what she's requesting to live there. If anything changes and she's able to develop the property, of course, she would still have to go through the permitting process, or, we could also condition if she sold the property that, she could lose her rights. But I think it's conditioned now that the conditional use permit is only issued to her. But if she sells it,
So it's not transferable.
What if she rents the property?
I think she could still rent it for residential purposes. Not to sell it, but that's how it was done in the past. Originally, she wasn't renting it. Now she's back in it herself.
Anybody else have any other questions? That's just for first reading, and we have first reading on the mural there on Highway 78. Anyone have any questions about that?
We did, Kirk, GDOT is delivering the permit tomorrow. We got approval, they just have to deliver the permit, and I will be at the Planning Commission on the 27th.
26, whatever the Tuesday.
Okay.
And then we have first reading for the Denny's application. Anyone have any questions about that tonight? Under new business, we have consideration action by Sarah Care to withdraw their application for CUP and to be refunded their fees that were paid. Does anyone have any questions about that?
I just wanted to be clear too that they actually met the deadline to withdraw, so they don't need permission from council to withdraw. They met previous 21 days, so they've already withdrawn. They're just requesting the refund of $595. We did probably 50% of the processing. We did do the staff report, we did prepare all the letters, we did prepare the certified letters, we did the signs and everything, so probably feel like 50% of the fee would be fair at this point, so whatever you guys want to do.
Do you know, besides staff time, how much actual money the city spent on this case?
The letters were probably, anywhere from say $500 to $100.
Did we pay for any legal ads?
We submitted them but did not pay for them.
Any other questions? Okay, that would conclude our regular public hearing agenda. On for the work session agenda, we have a town green non-governmental use policy. We talked about this last work session.
Melissa, do you have those copies? This is a draft that I put together. And it borrows from Tony's guidelines that I think you put together several years ago, which were never adopted. And did you get the basically, I tried in the preamble. It is a responsibility that the mayor and council have to maintain and enhance the green. I think you've done that with a lot of good uses. But there are going to be times when a non-governmental activity, a non-governmental entity is going to have make a proposal that has community-wide benefit. We talked to Chick-fil-A the other day and about their race, and I think they're going to be moving. They kind of started late, or they got pushed till it was too late. But there are going to be groups. The Overcomers are a good example. And I tried to come up with what I thought was a balance between too much control and just providing some basic fee structure for utilizing the green. And I tried to put in there, as far as under the miscellaneous section on the next to last page, what would be expected from any applicant. I don't think any of this is a surprise to anyone, but we added trash and sanitation receptacles, portable toilets, the insurance responsibility, working on a traffic control plan with Snellville PD, being responsible for off-duty police officers. There are a couple of things that I want to get your input on, think about adding. One is the power situation, to arrange for the necessary power use, that whatever they might have, and also if there's going to be food service, getting an environmental health permit, which staff and everybody else has to do. So those are probably two things that I'd like to add in there. But
We have a flat fee on the electricity.
yeah, we could.
$50 fee.
It's just I think it needs to be addressed in one way or another. And I know for big events we've got the secondary power pole that is put out there for the service that staff and farmers market use. I think, don't they?
No secondary, it's all on that softens up.
For the really big events, they rent
They rent
a generator.
Okay.
Included in either this or the application form probably should be an outline of what's available as far as power and what they would have to supply on their own.
Yeah,
if
you
they
can.
need-
What you don't want is them throwing up if you need to put a concert on, because,
Yeah, and there's just not enough power out there.
We have 200 amps?
no, yes, I don't think it's too, I think it's 100.
We have a 200 amp bomb.
Yeah, but I don't think that, you don't have 200 amps.
So just, whatever's out there.
Yeah, so there's no
there's not a question or
no issues when they show up. and-
Right.
And it should be per 6 hour, whatever the fee is per 6 hour period.
You know, if they're gonna have eight food trucks out there and they all need to plug in somewhere, they're not gonna be able to do it.
Right.
And this is, I mean, this is my suggestion. You guys look at it, tear it apart, however you want to do it.
I think we need to, you know, it's nice not to overregulate things, but I think we need to distinguish the fee. Are we gonna charge $250 for nonprofits and for commercials that wanna come out there? We talked about having different fees for different types of organizations. We also need to have something about appropriateness of the event, where we have some type of discretion to approve the event, because the way this is written, as long as they meet these requirements, we have no discretion over what type of event can be held on the town green.
In the preamble there, it says, from time to time, it may be decided by the mayor and council that a proposed activity on the green by a non-governmental organization would be of wide community benefit.
That
And it
doesn't
talks
get us
about
there.
approved, you know, fully vetted and approved by the mayor and council. I guess I need to go on and say, by majority vote at a public meeting.
Well, we need to have some guidelines as to what is, just like we have with the artwork in City Hall, when we have the guidelines for what is appropriate and what's not appropriate, we need some guidelines, what the community standard would be based on appropriateness.
Who is going to define that?
Yeah.
It's a legal definition, so I think Mr. Powell needs to look into that.
Even, and also on the off-duty police officers, I think we need to be specific with regard to that it needs to be Snellville. And I know it's implied, but again, if we want to go ahead and make this as bulletproof as possible.
Can we require some? Do we require some?
Sure. I would think.
No,
What about the portable toilets? It's open-ended, you could have a green field and have one portable toilet.
We've got, actually FEMA has a table for how many you need to provide, based on the number of people you're expecting and the hours that you're gonna be there. So we've got
We
a,
need to add some language in accordance with FEMA guidelines or something
we,
like that.
like I said, this is a draft, we've got that, I just, didn't include that, addendum. I didn't know how specific you wanted to be right here, in the first discussion.
Yeah.
The number of hours available for the green, are we gonna, it looks like we've defined that from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Right, I thought 2 6-hour blocks.
Okay. So no event could start before 10 o'clock.
Only by exception.
That's a, you know, if they're, I figured 10 to 4, 4 to 10. We got an evening event, 4 o'clock would be the start time. If they want it from 1 to 10, it'd be, you have it for the whole day run.
Yeah, the only thing we could run into is, let's say they're going to have a 10 or noon, they don't start setting up at 9. I mean, that's, you know, we're just gonna have to figure out that, you know, it's always just checking.
We need to add something that may be terms and conditions are subject to, change, I don't know, you know, subject to the discretion of, change of the discretion of the mayor and council.
And Bobby, what exactly, what was your point?
With regard, it just is for the hiring of off-duty police officers
Okay,
if needed.
okay,
I think we
okay.
need to be specific with regard
You
to
got
Snellville.
it. Yeah.
That way there's not any ambiguity and say, well, we hired, you know, our own or whatever.
You bet.
And do we want stuff like this to have to come to mayor and council for approval every time? Or do we want to get this drafted to where it's administrative? You know, I mean, it's like renting out the community room doesn't have to come to mayor and council every time.
Well, it's a little more visible.
Okay.
It's a bigger part of the city.
Mhm.
We aren't asking them to hire an attendant, which, you know, we have some control over internally. I just thought that, and it's not gonna happen that often.
Right.
I mean, I
I think people
really,
use the town green even if it's not a city event, people tend to associate it with the city, so I think that even if it goes on the consent agenda, just to be rubber stamped, I think it's good that we know about it. Other questions? Okay. Chick-fil-A race update, we met last week with Robin from Chick-fil-A and her race crew. We had, Chief was here and Gay was here and Craig was here. And we had offered the route, well, the city of Lawrenceville would not approve their route through Nash Chevrolet, so they were scrambling at the last minute to come back and work with the city. They have put the city logo as a partner on their shirts. But at this point in time, it doesn't look like they're gonna actually use any city property. The routes they proposed would have used 18 streets that would have needed to be closed going down North Road, which we just didn't really have the man. I mean, the chief and his department were willing to do it, but it was going to be, Memorial Day weekend was gonna be quite a feat. So we suggested maybe moving it to the parking lot instead of the town green. We also suggested Principal Thigpen offer the practice field, the football field, for them to line up there and then go out the back. They really wanted something that would pass by their store. And closing 124 or getting something down by their store Memorial Day weekend is quite an undertaking. So they worked with the chief and Carrie and Greg, who have experience in doing routes. And I think what they've decided to do is start either at Grace or at Brookwood High School and go down Janmar. I don't know if you've gotten an updated route.
The routes are all around Dogwood, Mountain View, Hollybrook, all out through there. They had very minimally comes within the city, and right now they're at the mercy of the county approving because the bulk of the routes is theirs, and getting Brookwood to approve or whatever. So they're, we're still in contact with them, and if they can work it all out, we're going to help them do it. So.
And so we've offered our police officers, if they can't get the county to come out and work the route, but at this point in time, they were grateful to the city, but really didn't want a route that would go, because we suggested maybe going down towards Snellville Middle School or down Odom towards the park, but they wanted something that would be closer to their store. If anything changes, the race is the 24th. They do have 1,000 people registered to run. In the race course, yeah. So if anything changes and we have to call a special meeting, I will let you know.
And I think next year, it seemed to me like they do want more of a partnership with the city. And that they would like that connection, that city connection. So, just too bad the city of Lawrenceville.
But Snellville is now on their race t-shirts, so we did Lawrenceville. All right, solicitation ordinance.
I'm going to give a short overview of this, and then at the end, if you have any questions, I hope I can answer them. If I can't, Tony and the chief, I hope you can fill in for me. The basis for writing this ordinance was to protect the citizens as well as the solicitor. And I tried very diligently to protect our children by making sure that there would be an adult responsible for the children soliciting their goods. So if you can, just follow a little bit with me. I'm going to go through as quickly as I can and get some points that I had several calls this weekend, several questions, some things that needed to be added, some things that needed to be changed. So if we'll look on page 2 below 54-171 soliciting, I was asked if at the end of that A, if we could put an example of a sign with the code displayed, kind of like the sign ordinance did, where we can insert what a no solicitation sign looks like with the 54-171 Code of Snellville written on it. We can work on that. This is certainly a draft. The second thing is I really compromised severely with myself in the area of what I wanted to do with the kids. What I wanted to do and what could be done were on each end of the parameter. Mine was very intrusive, very difficult to enforce what I wanted to do to protect these children. So I seeked a lot of counsel with Tony and the chief. And that will take us to B on the soliciting. Basically what this paragraph is stating that the soliciting person, I just don't want to sit here and read it to you, I just want to kind of give you an overview, is that an adult should be held accountable. And how I would like to do this, and I'll explain it in an example, is I'm the troop leader of a Girl Scout troop, and my daughter is a Girl Scout, and one of the girls in that troop wants to go out and solicit their cookies. I'm gonna go to the police department and fill out an application and get a badge. When I get home, I'm gonna make a copy of that badge, and I'm gonna pin it to my little girl and whoever else is gonna go out with me. So when those children approach the door of the homeowner, they know that that child is accounted for, that there is somebody that is accountable, an adult that is accountable for that child. They'll see that seal, and they'll see my name on there. I'm responsible for those two children. What I didn't want was a van to pull up with an adult in it and let a bunch of little kids out to solicit their wares, their wrapping paper, their cookies, their popcorn, whatever they wanted to do, and say, hey guys, I'll come back and get you in a couple hours, you meet me right here. That's what I don't want to happen. And the only way that I could do that without going against the law, or being so intrusive, or just policing them, like the mayor said, we don't want to police these people. I had to back off a little bit. I really wasn't happy about backing off, but that's just the only way we can do it. We can't watch all the kids all the time, but we can do our best to try to protect them by having an adult responsible. And that way, they're responsible. I look at this as positive. I don't think this is a violation to that person to just come and fill out the application. There's no cost for me to go and fill it out and say, I'm taking my Girl Scouts to such and such subdivision, and they're gonna walk a little bit, but I'm gonna be there. I'm not gonna walk up to the door with them. I think what scares me is that I had somebody call me on this, and they said, the other day I opened the door, and there was what I thought was an 8-year-old, maybe a 9-year-old, could have been 7. And I opened the door, and she stands there, and she's playing her violin. And I look down at her, and I go, where are your parents? Where's your mother? Oh, I'm just soliciting money for my music club at the school. Where are your parents? Oh, they're at the park waiting for me. Okay, first thing I think of is sex offender, a bad guy, the child is lured in, and you never see that child again. There's nothing, we don't know anything about this kid, and how are we gonna find this kid? I'm not saying that a little badge is going to save every child out there, but it makes an adult, I can't think of the word I'm looking for. It just makes them accountable for these kids. They can't just drop them off and let them go.
But this doesn't say that the supervisor has to be within sight or within a certain distance. It just, so they just have to have their badge
Have
on.
that badge on, and you would just hope that the adult has enough sense to know you just don't drop your kid off. That you're gonna be responsible if something happens. Or the kid goes up there to sell his book of coupons, okay? And the homeowner says, I'm not interested, and the kid goes out and tramples all the ladies' flowers, or on the lawn, or knocks, or whatever, because they're angry. They got somebody responsible for that child.
And so, but it may not be their child, and so
No.
how are they supposed to
Well, it
control
says
what
under
some
the
other
super-
child does?
It says under the supervision.
Just under the super, you can't make people do things. But this is a start. It's just a start to make adults responsible for the children that they just throw out there. For protective reasons, for all kind of reasons that a parent would see. I didn't mean to spend all that much time on that, so let's jump to C. And again, Tony and the chief are open for questions. And it's just a draft. This is the first draft, okay? On C, there were two verbiage changes. On the first line, all solicitors and persons engaged in canvassing shall obtain a permit or under the supervision of a permitted holding solicitor. It's just adding 4 words. On the next page, page 3, number 1, the last sentence, otherwise complying with the requirements of this section. Just a word change, comply to complying.
What number was that?
Number 1, third line on number 1. On number 4, this will be under discussion by all of you. Is 7 o'clock too early to stop soliciting? My personal view, just personal, is that I don't want people ringing my doorbell at 9 o'clock when I'm trying to get 2 grandbabies in. But I can solve that problem myself because I'll put a no solicitation sign on my front lawn. It's solved. If you want it, to go, I've heard from 3 people, 9 o'clock would be better.
9 o'clock
8:30
at
would be
night?
better, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's too late.
When daylight savings time first goes into effect, it's dark at 8 o'clock.
Mhm.
For the first
So,
month.
that's open for
Some people
discussion.
don't get home till 7 o'clock though.
And so they miss that, the solicitors miss those people, and so I think they're looking to.
Or the people
you know,
miss the solicitors.
To go to, go to 9 PM.
I think what you're looking for, you don't want anybody ringing your doorbell after that.
I don't want anybody
Pick a
ringing
number.
my doorbell at 9 o'clock,
I think 9's too late, but I think 8 would be better than 7.
okay? We can look at that. The next, number 5, was confusing. And it was confusing for me, and when I asked Tony about it, he said generally it's written for a judge to,
It's a violation of provision.
But you need to add, you've got it right now for more than 2 adult persons of 18 years of age. So what about somebody that's 19, 20, 21, 22? It needs to be 18 or older,
Okay.
okay?
What if it's a school fundraiser though? I mean, you technically have seniors that are 18 years old, they don't communicate with each other about what houses they're going to, and you're making it a crime for them or a violation for them.
2 of them can go together.
Yeah, I think this just means they don't want 3 or more people not
Right.
coming to
Same
the
time.
door.
But that's not what it just says, go to the same house, it doesn't say at the same time.
Yeah, solicitation on the
does.
same premises.
Just at the same time,
Same
the same
day.
time.
Okay.
and this is where my thought process came in, is the elderly. You open that door and you've got 3 or 4
Yeah,
big
yeah.
football players there, and they're like, they're nervous, they're not even gonna.
Well, and there's a strategy, particularly among roof repair folks and elderly people, that the gang up is a characteristic of their operations.
Driveway topping.
Page 4.